Shalom. All praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High. Yahweh Ba'asham Yahwashai, Ba'asham Raka Kwadash, double honors to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, and salutations to all you sincere camp. And this is your brother Abawan back again with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahwashai, Ba'asham Raka Kwadash. All praises and glory is due, especially in these times. And in case you did not know, right, because hey, here at the Great Millstone we're always keeping you posted and updated. This month of August is the Stop Blaming White People month, right? Because Esau Edom does not want you to blame them anymore for their crimes and their wickedness, past or present. And of course we know that the so-called white man refers to them, or rather the so-called white man refers to Esau Edom. Okay, so Edom doesn't want to, so Esau doesn't want you to be calling them out for or blaming them for any of their crimes or any of the evils that they have done to you, whether past or present. Accept responsibility for your own bad choices. Hug a white person, right? So this is what Esau Edom is on right now, from the same group of Edomites that brought you, it's okay to be white, and all the other various excuses that Esau makes and comes up with, the excuses and the gaslighting that Esau Edom comes up with when the people of this world, right, these two-thirds people out here, call them out for their wickedness and for all the evils that they have done on the earth. And of course, you see the term that is here is white, but realistically, are speaking on as the Hebrew Israelites, okay? And since we delve deeper and go further than what the people of the world will, we are going and speaking on Esau Edom, not the so-called white man, because you do have so many Israelites that are, so-called quote-unquote whites, okay, but their true identity, their true nationality, and their ancestry goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And this is the thing, man. A lot of you so-called white jakes out there, right? That's you want to be Edomites so bad, but you're actually jakes. The Most High is going to destroy a lot of you, man. All you so-called whites that are actually Israelites. The Most High is going to destroy a lot of you because you want to attach yourself to this failing and dead rhetoric, okay, of being a so-called white person rather than your true identity and your true nationality as an Israelite, right? So August is Stop Blaming White People month, and this is basically the mindset that Esau Edom has, right? Whenever they are called out, right, whether it's by the two-thirds of the two-third jakes, right, and the people of this world for their wickedness, they see it as them being blamed, right, just because they are white. Oh, that they are white and they did, that basically, they are white, so they are being blamed, right, for being just white. And of course, they would naturally disregard and pretend as though their crimes and wickedness does not speak for itself, and as though that they are not being actively blamed for their crimes and their wickedness. That's where the gaslighting comes in, because rather than Esau say, oh, I'm being blamed because I am a murderer, I am being blamed because I am a thief, I am being blamed because I am a so-called, quote unquote racist, right? Because when was the last time you heard a white person say the N-word? When was the last time you heard a white person call a so-called black man, right, a so-called Negro, the N-word? And I'm talking about the hard R, right? That wasn't that long ago. One happened recently with a Jamaican truck driver. Another one happened, because of that time Cincinnati brawl. Another one happened where a white woman got called one of these two-third, YNs out here, the N-word, and she got knocked the fuck out, right? Another one happened, and you see how this is going, right? So another one happened where you have this one, hey, straight up, send it to the face of the black man. Look, get out of here, basically all these delivery drivers, and it shows you that the hatred and the hatred, right, and the racism, because it really is racism. I'm not talking about them so-called white and black, or anti-black racism. I'm talking about the actual racism that Esau Edom, right, has against you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, it still continues to this day. And white people are not being blamed for things that they are not guilty of, and that is a fact, especially by the Hebrew Israelites. Okay, because whenever we call you out and whenever we blame you, or whenever we speak on your crimes, these things that not only have you done in the past but are actively still doing till this day, because that's the part that these Edomites will never mention, right? Esau Edom will never talk about how a lot of the crimes that they are being blamed for are things that they are still doing till this day. Rape, robbery, and murder look no further than everywhere on the earth, right? These things still continue to this day. What was it not just recently that Trump, decided that that Trump and the U.S. government basically decided that there were no Epstein files. So, like I said before, the largest human trafficking ring of the 21st century is completely, the list of the clients for that trafficking ring was completely swept under the rug, classified and most likely expunged and destroyed, right? Of course, not all the way, because that still exists somewhere, of course, but we shouldn't blame white people for anything, right? The Catholic Church just paid out a record. How much was it? How much was it? Let's go. You know what? Let's go on the Google and see how much it actually was, right? Okay, Google. I guess that didn't work. So let's just use the 5 billion dollars. $5 billion. $5 billion. You have that kind of money. You are basically in the same club as Musk and Bezos and Zuckerberg. You are a billionaire, and that's how much the Catholic Church spent paying off their victims. Okay. And it's okay, and let's just see, yeah, more than $5 billion spent on Catholic sexual abuse allegations, new report finds. Because you see, this one is the Los Angeles Archdiocese is paying off 880 million. Come on man 880 million on top sexual assault. Bro, like, this is ridiculous, right? This actually deserves its own video. $880 million on only small Los Angeles. Like, are you serious right now? Okay, but stop blaming white people, right? Let's keep going on. 180 million for New Orleans. But let's keep going. 246 million for Rochester, New York. Not even the full New York city, just Rochester. And now this one is now showing another one again. LA Catholic Church payouts for clergy abuse top 1.5 billion with new record settlements. So we're talking billions here that the Catholic Church is shelling out just to keep its abuse victims quiet. These are the crimes of Esau Edom, man. And if we now go into the past, you will now see the way that the Catholic Church treated Gad and Reuben, which are the Native and Seminole Indians, specifically the children of the Native and Seminole Indian tribes, right? With the Catholic schools that they were sending the so-called Native American children to for re-education, and how many died, right, during that process. They died and were tortured during that process, to the point where their bodies were even buried under those churches. Okay, but he stopped blaming white people month, right? Because Esau Edom didn't do nothing, right? These devils are completely guiltless of all sins, basically. What the hell is going on here, right? Esau didn't do nothing. Stop blaming white people month. And this shows you, man. This shows you right here that, hey, you are dealing with the devil. Okay, you are dealing with the devil. Okay, because how can you And this is what Esau Edom always does, that they will try and make it as though that the crimes that they are being accused of was something that happened such a long time ago that it no longer affects you. Why should you talk about slavery? Slavery was a long time ago, even though according to the 13th Amendment, slavery is still very much legal in the US and is no longer, how it was back then, which is basically just chattel slavery, in which you can, if you are a so-called Negro at the time, you are basically a slave, right? And your children were also slaves as well. But now it's rather a crime for a punishment for crime. Okay, so let's get some precepts now that we are done, lambasting these devils. And here's the thing you need to understand, man. The videos that we are doing really are only for the elect of the nation of Israel, because these Edomites will see these videos and all they'll hear is, you dumbass Negroes, you N word, right? NIGGR, are just, chatting and stuff, talking all this bullshit, right? We just blaming the white man for so on. Just basically it's just going to be the same, excuses and lies and wickedness and gaslighting from Esau Edom, right? So these videos really are only for the elect of the nation of Israel and for the edification of the elect of the nation of Israel, so you understand exactly why, even to this day we are not only calling out Esau Edom for their crimes but condemning them as well for their crimes. This is the reason why you devils are going into captivity. This is the reason why you devils will be going into slavery, because you believe that you have done no evil. Even with all the evils they have done on the earth, right, you still hold yourself not guilty. So this is the book of Proverbs 28 verse 13. He that covereth his sins shall not prosper, but whoso confesseth and forsaketh them shall have mercy. Right. And this is exactly what Esau Edom did when he tried to hide all the crimes and all the wickedness, especially what he had done against you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, the horrors of slavery. How much of it did these devils hide? That's the reason why, and even the apostles, how I mentioned this before, right? That when that movie Roots, okay, the movie Roots, Kunta Kinte, when it first came out, right, that Jake was basically, mad as hell at Esau when they saw the horrors that Esau Edom was doing during the time of slavery, right? Only for you to find out that the movie Roots wasn't even based off a true story, but was rather just something that the author put together, from reading books about slavery. And then again, only for you to come to find out again that the movie Roots was a very, very, whitewashed, what I want to say, or watered down. That's what I was looking for. Watered down version of the actual horrors of the transatlantic slave trade and all the evils and all the wickedness that Esau Edom was doing during that time. And we can't even go into it. The slave Bible, buck breaking, alligator babies, Alaskan Dodger, whatever they were calling it back then, American Dodger, whatever they were calling it back then, right? And all the experiments and the evils that Esau Edom was committing during that time, right? And that's the reason why even till this day, man, even to third Jakes are still calling Esau Edom out for this wickedness, because it is an evil that has not yet been repaid, which is why you see Jakes, okay, out here looking for reparations. And let's get this. Like I was saying, which is why you see Jake still out here looking for reparations, because that's the wickedness, right, the captivity that Esau Edom put our people in from the time of the transatlantic from the time of the transatlantic slave trade until now is a wickedness that has not yet been repaired, re-answered, right, repaid, right, the wickedness that has not yet received its judgment. Now Zechariah 11 verse 4. Thus saith Yahweh my power, feed the flock of the slaughter, whose possessors slay them, and hold themselves not guilty. Right. So Esau Edom, after all the wickedness, after all the rape, robbery, and murder, right? These same Edomites come out and you will say that, oh, well, slavery was a long time ago. Alright, what about Jim Crow? Jim Crow was a long time ago. Okay, what about segregation? That was a long time ago. Alright. Remember, in the civil rights era was during the 1960s. All right. What about the crack epidemic? Okay. What about redlining? What about eminent domain? What about the destruction of all these various black towns like Tulsa, Oklahoma, like Oscar, Rosewood, Slovakia, like Oscarville? I believe that's the one that got turned into Lake Lanier, right? What about all that? That was a long time ago. Okay, what about the war on drugs? What about the prison industrial complex that everybody basically knows exists? What about the 1960s, 1996, I believe, crime bill, right? All these different laws and legislations, redlining, that was set up to target Israelites, right? The so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians to not only destroy so-called so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American communities, but also to completely destroy the people as well as a nation. Things like I believe what was welfare and food stamps. That Title 4D that was set up to destroy the black family, right? The so-called black family, like the Israelite family, and destroy the family system that we had at the time, right? All these legislations that were set up by Esau Edom in order to destroy you Israelites that still continue to this day, but they will say that they have done no evil. They hold themselves not guilty, right? If you ask the regular Edomites about this, they'll tell you that, oh, it's the elites of Esau Edom that did this. But all these things I just mentioned, they are all enforced and backed by everyday Edomites. It wasn't the elites that burned down any black town. It wasn't the elites that were, keeping you jakes in check, right? And lynching and killing, our the ancestors, man, the ancient, as the scriptures say, upon the gray hairs that has heavily laid thy yoke. It wasn't the elites of Esau Edom that was putting that yoke on the gray hairs. It was you regular, degular, schmegular Edomites, man. You regular Edomites that are out here. These same Edomites that will come out and tell you that, come on, brother, it's not a race war, it's a class war. These are the same Edomites that were putting your ancestors in chains. The same Edomites that were lynching your ancestors for looking at a white woman funny. The same Edomites that were telling your ancestors to get to the back of the bus, and this is not a nigger fountain, and you niggers aren't welcome in this town, and this is a sundown town. It's those same Edomites that are telling you now that it's a class war, right? Because all of you devils are guilty. Now Zechariah 11 verse 5, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell them say, blessed be Yahweh, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. Right? And these devils have enriched themselves of the labor and the bodies of our people, you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. And like I said, that's exactly why even two-third jakes are still talking about and still calling on the transatlantic slave trade even after all these years, because that was a crime that has not yet been paid for, okay? And the judgment that you devils are supposed to receive, you have not yet received for that wickedness. So this is the book of Revelation 13 verse 10. So this is the book of Revelation 13 verse 10. He that killeth, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints, and you devils are going into captivity, man. Right? And the lucky ones of you will be killed, will be put to death by the Most High Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai. Alright? Let's keep going into it. Okay, so let me get another precept real quick. This is the book of Proverbs. Let's go to that because I wanted to bring out some precepts before I close out. I had some precepts I really wanted to bring out that is going into the hypocrisy of Esau Edom. So this is the book of Hebrews 26 verse 24. Proverbs 26 verse 24. He that hateth dissembleth with his lips, and layeth up deceit within him. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart, whose hatred is covered by deceit. His wickedness shall be shewed before the whole congregation. Right? And that's exactly how Esau Edom speaks, with a forked tongue, because this devil, as the scriptures say, man, he is a liar from the beginning and the father of it. Okay, so whenever these devils come out and say, because today is August, which is Stop Blaming White People Month, right? But what they won't tell you is what they are being blamed for. And if you ask them what they are being blamed for, they will answer with lies and deceit. Like I said, gaslighting. Oh, I'm just being blamed because I'm white, right? But they won't talk about all the evils that the Esau Edom has done in the name of being white people. They won't tell you about how white is not a real identity or a real race, but was invented for miscegenation in the late 1600s, right? And what does miscegenation mean? Let's go and get that. Let's go and get that, because you devils, because that's exactly what you are. You're not white. Hell, you know what? I'm not even going to say that. I want to say I'm not even Edomites, you're just devils. But let's not go that far. So let's get that. This is the definition. This is the definition of the word miscegenation. Miscegenation: sexual relationships or reproductions between two people of different ethnic groups, especially when one of them is white. And there's a quote right here: the great fear was miscegenation, a mixing of bloodlines, right? And basically the reason why the race of white, or the white race, was invented was for anti miscegenation. Okay, so basically, and if you're anti, basically meaning against, right? Against sexual relationships or reproduction between people of different ethnic groups, especially when one of them is white. So because, and the elder Malcolm went into this very well. Now that was some of his old videos, man. When he was reviewing that book, The Invention of the White Race. I think it was Jean Batalora. When he was reviewing the book, The Invention of the White Race, he was talking about how the anti-miscegenation laws were set up, and how basically the idea of whiteness, or even the idea of a white race, was invented due to the miscegenation, because these Edomites were bringing in these women from Europe, right? And they were preferring to deal with with Jake, basically, right? The northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, rather than the Edomite men. And this anti-miscegenation law was set up, and that's why, for the longest time, you couldn't have these interracial marriages. It was banned, even though these devils were still, out here raping our women, right? And having all these mixed mulatto Edomite babies. Okay, so yeah, that's basically the reason why the white race was invented. And because of that, basically, you had your white and your black race, and that's where all this, whole idea of whiteness came from. So it is even an invented term that you devils cling on to so dearly, because you understand, the reason why this terminology was created. And that is for the sake of you having that, power over the rest of the nations, especially the Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, because we, conversely, were now labeled with the term black, right? Which, of course, it needs no explanation as to why that was such a bad thing, and the negative connotations that are surrounding the words of black. Right, so you see, this is the deceit that Esau Edom does, that he, with his lips, man. That's why the scripture said that he was given the power to deceive the earth, right? So, like I said, these devils, they hold themselves not guilty. So they'll come out and say, well, August is stop blaming white people month, and all you minorities, all you minorities, all you blacks especially, are blaming the white man because he is white. But they won't tell you about all the crimes and all the evils and all the wickedness that he has done against our people and continues to do. And that is what they are being blamed for, right? If you don't believe, and you don't even need to, it's not even a question of belief or not. All you just need to do is just look at recent news concerning the evil of Esau Edom, and just basically the hatred that Esau Edom has for our people. Whether it's how arrogantly that these devils are deporting the northern kingdom out of America, right? Or the rise of fascism, basically, or rather, quote unquote fascism, which is marked by, the hatred of Jake. That's the so-called, especially you so-called Negroes, okay? And how much, the so-called anti-black, which is really, anti-Southern Kingdom, right? Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, the level of racism against our people is rising, right? So that shows you that Esau Edom's hatred is growing more and more as each day passes for you Jakes out here. But stop blaming white people, right? And that's how you know this is the devil that we're dealing with right now. It reminds me of this precept. Let me go to this right here. Oh, it's even good that we're in Proverbs. That's not too far away. So this is the book of Proverbs 30, verse 20. Such is the way of an adulterous woman. She eateth and wipeth her mouth and saith, I have done no wickedness. Right? And this is just the way of America, Babylon the Great, where these devils, they basically eat the fruits of their wickedness, which is the wealth that has been gotten, the kingdom that has been received from unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, right? The wealth that has been won by rape, robbery, and murder, wiping her mouth, right? Pretending that, oh, I didn't get anything from this, and act and say I have done no evil. That's exactly what Esau Edom did, man. He ate the wealth, but as the scripture says, that these devils will ultimately vomit up that wealth which they have consumed. But this is how you know that, like I said, man, this is how you know that Esau. This is how you know Esau Edom is the devil, because these devils will be quick to praise their Edomite ancestors for all the great things that they have done. Right? That's how you had Christopher Columbus Day. You know, we of course you still have it, but it's been renamed to Native American and so on and so forth Day, man. And who knows, man? Trump with the Edomite devil will probably just reinstate it back, just like he was doing with them all these NFL teams. And you also have, all these statues of all these racist ass devils, right? Like the one of this devil that was, that basically was riding on a horse, and he had Jake on one side, the Southern Kingdom on one side and Northern Kingdom on the other side. I think it was not Robert E. Lee, one of these presidents. That bald one that was in Night of the Museum. I don't want to go and start looking at that statue right now, but that bald president that was in the movie Night of the Museum, right? That's the president I was talking about. And basically, he had that statue, and let me see if I can find that. Let me go to it. Let me go to it, right? Let me go to it. I didn't really want to go to it because I don't have time to be looking for that shit. But let me go to it. So let's see. This is it right here. Theodore Roosevelt the devil. Let's get that. Theodore Roosevelt the devil. Right. Let's go to that. Let's type in statue, and you'll see the statue I'm talking about. And yeah, this is it right here. This is the statue I'm talking about right here. This one. This is the statue I'm talking about right here. This is it right here. This Theodore Roosevelt statue, where he's riding on a horse, and you have both the northern and the southern kingdom right next to him, right? Showing you that he had basically conquered them. I think they're even in chains, and he's dragging them in his back in chains, right? These are the kind of, this is how Esau Edom commemorates, right, and celebrates their ancestors, okay? But when you call them out for this specific wickedness they're celebrating, right? These are the same devils that will tell you that so-called white people conquered and colonized and ruled the earth, right? But when you tell them that, well, yeah, because they are the ones that are meant to rule at the end of the world, suddenly Esau Edom isn't the ruler anymore. They civilized the world, right? Because they were set up to have control over the earth in the last days in order to be destroyed by the Most High Yahweh Basham Yahushai at his return. Suddenly, Edomites don't have rule over the earth anymore, right? We're not the ones in authority. It's the Jews, That's how these devils will be behaving. Well, don't worry. They will get their own judgment as well. They will be judged as well by the Most High Yahweh Basham Yahushai, because they are your fellow Edomites, right? So yeah, this is how Esau Edom operates, man. That shows you this is the devil that this is the devil that the Bible speaks of, right? So I'll end the video right there. So with that, once again, all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High, Yahweh Basham Yahushai, Basham Rakakwadash, Wa Abad Babal, and through the Spirit, I hope you are calm and you are quite for edified. And amen. The devils that are behind this stupid ass stop blaming white people month, the Most High Yahweh Basham Yahushai, Shalak Rayam, Wa Ainasham, Wa Abadiam, on you, Babakasha, Sawada, Aman.